Yo, what's up, YouTube? Lower to Ski Reacts back with another video. Today we are checking out another Big Tug video. Who killed Late Night? Let's just get into the video. If you enjoy the video, like, subscribe, follow me on my Instagram and Facebook, and my gaming channel. I'm going to be uploading there maybe later on today or tomorrow. Anyways, let's just get into it. It's been a while since I've checked out a Big Tug video.
Head over to extratug.com to see exclusive new videos where I say a bunch of naughty things that you won't believe what I'm saying. You have to go to that website to see it, though.
Coming to you straight from an overpriced apartment in Brooklyn, New York, it's the Nighty Night Show with Big Tug.
Dude, that's really how they start, though. Every freaking late night show, they always open like this.
Starring your host and the guy who still owes me $2.
It's just like in Family Feud, how they got like the music playing and then it goes into it. That's exactly how it is.
For super chatting in his own YouTube live chat, even though I work for him, Tucker Lindgren. Stay tuned for the history of late night, its biggest flops, the most outrageous talk show moments ever, and a countdown of the worst late night segments of all time. And now, your host, Tucker Lindgren.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Hey, have you guys been seeing all the late night talk show stuff going on? That's pretty crazy, right? The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was canceled just 3 days after Colbert criticized.
Dude, I've never watched any of like the late night shows. I've seen clips of it, but like watching it, like just sitting down and watching it, no. Because I think it's just like fake. I don't like late night, all that shit.
CBS in his monologue, he joked that the $16 million lawsuit that Trump sued over a 60-minute interview was a big fat bribe. And this is normally where, you know, the late night guy would make a joke. There's no joke in the script. I can't go off script. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I guess comedians complaining about cancel culture were right, though. You really can't say anything anymore. Thanks to billionaires aiding in low-key...
Dude, tell me, yeah, like, dude, that's fucking suck. Dude, what was that video a while back? Well, it was actually like, I think like a year or two ago. It was like John Cena eating sushi or something, and he was like speaking in Japanese, and apparently people wanted an apology because he was speaking in Japanese. He almost got canceled because he was talking in Japanese. It was fucking stupid.
State censorship. That's cool. But that's not all. Jimmy Kimmel also had a run-in with state censorship. ABC suspended Kimmel after comments he made following the Charlie Kirk assassination. And that was a real mind warp for supporters of Jimmy Kimmel, most of who are Democrats. As
I do like Jimmy Kimmel.
Championing the free speech of a late-night show host who used to host The Man Show. This is The Man Show. Y2K.
What the fuck is The Man Show? What is that?
Era sketch show on Comedy Central that featured Jimmy Kimmel in blackface and ended every show with slow motion footage of girls jumping on trampolines. You know, something that the fellas can enjoy.
You could tell that that was made in the 2000s. They said that he did blackface. Yeah, that shit that they did in like in the 2000s.
With all these yammering, clucking hens. Yappity bitches. But regardless of where you land on the political spectrum, it's clear that late night talk shows have been on their way out for a while. Dude, ratings have been suffering for years because of the now fractured landscape, and also I don't want to.
Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon. I mean,
I'll watch
Jimmy Fallon fucking sucks.
Listen to Kimmel, and all their clips come out online anyway. All the good stuff. So why am I going to watch an ad? I got YouTube Premium. I'm rich. But in their heyday, these shows were vital for discussion on pop culture and politics. So where did they come from? And are they going away forever? Well, Tug, let's discuss that all and more. But first, a word from our sponsor. And it's not a bit. We're going to do, it's an ad.
Oh, God.
Ad.
I'm skipping the sponsor. I always skip them.
I want to show you how much he loved it. This product is great. My brother thrilled. Suit. I don't have a plan. TV variety shows hosted by figures like Ed Sullivan became a staple of the airways starting back in
I don't know who he is. The only late night shows people I know is Ellen DeGeneres, whole fucking devil ass. What's that dude's name? The fat dude that used to like do call karaoke. I don't know his name. Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know that dude, that asshole, the dude that got like sued for cussing at a fast food worker or something.
1948. And as early as 1949, the prototype for late night would take the
British
airwaves
dude.
with the Faye Emerson Show. The 15-minute show that I'm sure not one of you have heard of. Who the f is Faye Emerson? It cemented some of the touchstones we still see in late night today, with a blend of entertainment, culture commentary, and current events. Faye Webster was unique for TV at the time, and almost any time really, for interviews that transcended puff pieces. And she even moved around in political circles, marrying the son of FDR, which that goes to show how old this is. The two even traveled to Russia, where they interviewed
1965.
Stalin.
Is that
Play the music. No matter what I do, guys, I keep going back to the USSR. I can't stop it. They're very involved in the history. I just don't want to be deported. And this joke is getting old, but it's scaring me at this point. I can't stop talking about the Soviets. Unfortunately, for the rest of this episode, you'll notice that there's going to be a lot less ladies behind the desk when we talk about late night TV shows, because she was one of the first.
Yeah, like, dude, what is up with every single late night host always being a guy? It's always a fucking guy. And every single... Well, actually, no, you can't say that Ellen DeGeneres, but... Dude, what is up with every single... Okay, let me phrase it this way. What is up with every single late night host always being some insufferable asshole?
And literally one of the last. It would be nearly 4 decades after Emerson until Joan Rivers began hosting The Late Show in 1986. 5 years after Emerson's show ended, NBC debuted Late Night with Steve Allen. Not this Allen. I can't do the noise. Not that guy, this guy. Unlike the popular Sunday night variety show, Steve Allen brought a sense of comedic personality to the show. I mean, think about it. You've probably heard the name Ed Sullivan a million times, probably because of the Beatles, but also for other reasons. But you probably don't actually know anything about Ed Sullivan. Yeah, that's because he wasn't really entertaining. A big fat stick in the mud is what he was. He was actually notorious for his lack of charisma, and honestly, for being a pretty lame douchebag. His show regularly asked artists like Bob...
So, like, the dude from America's Idol. What's that? Steve... What the fuck is that dude's name? Simon Cowell. That's what I'm thinking of. Sort of like Simon Cowell.
Dylan, the Rolling Stones, and the Doors to censor their lyrics. I'll give Ed Sullivan his flowers, though. He was pretty influential in hiring, black talent on the show, which I'm cool with it. They weren't back in the day, and kind of today still. But then again, Bo Diddley did come right out and call Sullivan a racist, which is kind of crazy, because if a man called Bo Diddley called me a racist, it's over. Anyway, Steve Allen was the charismatic antidote to Sullivan's stiffness. He brought new ideas to hosting television, many of which became staples we still see on late night. Allen was the first to pioneer a monologue, which seems great, but if you lived through the era of watching Jay Leno monologue about Bill Clinton, you probably want to smack the taste out of Tim
Jay Leno?
Allen's mouth, not Tim Allen. Steve Allen's mouth. Steve Allen also pioneered the idea of bantering with the crowd and doing comedic man-on-the-street segments. It was a way to drum up viewership by being like, hey, anything can happen when you're out on the street, and just asking celebrities some dumb shit, which, if you think about it, is pretty much all of social media.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what, like, TikTokers do with the fucking hot tour woman. They just go up to people and ask questions. That's pretty much what that is.
Nowadays, man on the street content is just easy butter, easy money. I had to throw my hat in the ring on the street when I was working at another company to do media stuff, and they were great, but it wasn't my bag, and I hated it because I hate bum rushing people, and I'd have to ask them, hey, do you mind if I film you? And a lot of them would say no, and they'd be like, well, you have to bum rush them in order to get good content. I'm like, I don't want to do that, because if someone did that to me, I would want to kill them. So content creators, pay respects to Steve Allen. He knew what was up. But something else integral to The Tonight Show was the fact that Steve Allen was a big old goofball. He was staging stunts where he would be jumping into a big vat of oatmeal or cottage cheese. Holy shit.
Now that stuff would be kind of fun. I'm not gonna even lie. If I got paid to like be able to do that stuff, that would be kind of fun. Like jump into a pool of like Orbeez or stuff like that. That would be kind of cool, I think.
What good comedy. And he once made himself into a human banana split, with staffers covering him in ice cream, hot fudge, and bananas. I mean, God, that's what Good Mythical Morning's doing. They're just ripping off Steve Allen. So it was silly, but it proved effective. NBC was so pleased with Allen's performance that they actually pulled him from The Tonight Show to take on Ed Sullivan head-to-head on the new Sunday night program. And this left the door open for arguably the most important person in all of late night television.
Here's Johnny.
Johnny? Oh my god, another ad.
Hostiles approaching. Reciprocate.
Dude, I hate how many freaking YouTube ads they play now. Dude, like, it used to not be this fucking many.
In 1962, Johnny Carson would take over The Tonight Show, a post he would hold for nearly 30 years. While there wasn't much innovation that came with Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, there was a soothing consistency to his reign as the king of late night. He was the Midwestern boy next door type, with a quick-witted but cool demeanor that integrated him with the audience. When you watch Carson, God, you're just in on the joke. Carson's my buddy. Carson's my cigar-smoking by the pool buddy. He knows me. I know him. And it created an intimacy with the audience that few others have reached. The popularity of The Tonight Show exploded under Carson, and at its peak, over 12 million households tuned in nightly. And like I said, he wasn't the most innovative, but because he was doing it for so long, his length of tenure made him the guy, the late night dude. Essentially, Johnny Carson was kind of like the divorced dad every American wants. He wasn't the richest or the flashiest, but god damn it, he showed up day in and day out, and that's all you can ask for. Other networks noticed the success of Johnny Carson and the Tonight Show franchise and tried to break into the late night time slot. But this was an obviously hard job. Not everyone could do it. I couldn't do it. The fact that I would have to show up 5 nights a week and perform makes me want to blow my goddamn brains out. The list of people who failed is long and full of surprisingly famous names. And that's why we're gonna do a segment. We're going over a segment called Late Nightmares. Late Nightmares. Kinda clever. Shout out Jimmy. Up first, we have Magic Johnson. Coming out of the gate swinging with this one. Basketball legend Magic Johnson tried his hand at late night in the 90s with a
I don't watch basketball, so I don't know who he is.
syndicated show, The Magic Hour. He was an incredible athlete who also happened to be charismatic, which made him perfect for sponsorships. Of course, Johnson announcing in 1991 that he had HIV changed the trajectory of his career, sadly, but it did. But he was still incredibly famous and one of the most recognizable people in America. So he was given a show in 1998, and it bombed immediately. Was not made out for that. For one, Magic was nervous, which was pretty weird for a lot of Americans to see. The guy still holds the record for NBA playoff triple-doubles, so to see him sweat on a camera without playing a sport made a lot of people feel uneasy. But it makes
That's
sense.
funny.
Even though he was a charismatic athlete, he wasn't an actor or a comedian. So
Yeah, like I think if you gave like a sport person, like a person that plays basketball, football, and you gave them their own TV show, yeah, I think they would just be more nervous because they're not trained to act. Like if you went to acting school, you'd be trained to like know what to do on camera. But if you just played sports and you like given your own TV show not doing sports, you wouldn't know what the fuck to say because you only know basketball. What are you gonna talk about? Fucking, I don't know.
After just 8 weeks and a lot of vocal beatdowns from Howard Stern, who Howard should not be pointing.
Yeah, like, dude, I know who he is. Dude, this dude says, like, dude, if you don't know who Howard Stern is, look him up. He does, like, these podcasts, like Joe Rogan. Before Joe Rogan, that was him. And he would, like, there was a time where someone brought in, like, their dead, like, he sent them, like, dead ashes or shit like that, or a dead body. Oh, no, it was like a dead rat or something, and it's through the mail because he would get, like, mail donations. This dude was playing with, like, a dead rat. It's fucking dark as fuck.
Fingers anyway.
I don't know how he's not canceled.
The Magic Hour was sadly canceled. In the early 2000s, even VH1 tried to break into the late night game, and honestly, they did it in a way that was actually ahead of its time. Something no one has ever said about the TV channel VH1. But it's true, they tapped alt comedian Zach Galifianakis to host a show, and they kind of let him do whatever he wanted.
The dude from The Hangover.
And this was even way before The Hangover or Between Two Ferns, so unless you were
Really?
a comedy nerd, you had no clue who Zach Galifianakis was. And I get it. That's a hard name to try and remember. But because no one knew who he was or what kind of comedy he was bringing to the table, and if you don't know, you should go watch his stand-up special, it made his bits extremely confusing for home audiences. He would perform his monologue while sitting at a piano playing soft, classically inspired pieces, and he seemed to like to take the piss out of the original format of late night, with segments where he told jokes to preschoolers or even hosting an entire show on a city bus. Obviously, didn't last long. That's a lot for the common man. Late World with Zach would be canceled after just 36 episodes, but him. He didn't need him. He had a surprisingly successful career. Now,
Yeah.
on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, in terms of people I respect and love, we have Chevy Chase. Piece of shit Chevy Chase is. In 1993,
I don't know
Fox
who
was
that
still
is.
a relatively new player in network television. And they wanted to capitalize on the success of their edgier TV shows like The Simpsons and Married with Children by starting its own late night show. They originally asked Dolly Parton to host, but she wisely turned down the offer because Dolly don't need no late night TV show.
Yeah, dude, I think Dolly Parton, she doesn't need any money, dude. Isn't she, like, retired now? Because I'm pretty sure Dolly Parton has made so much money now, especially now, even in her early days, to where, like, if she decided to stop making music, she would even need to survive. She's made so much fucking money. It's insane.
Dolly don't need shit. I can do whatever the hell she wants and I'll give her money for it. So they went with SNL alum Chevy Chase. While Chase hadn't done TV since the early days of SNL, he was a huge star thanks to roles in movies like Christmas Vacation. But Chase
I have seen that, but I've never seen it. Like, I've seen the poster, but I've never seen the actual movie.
and the Fox network soon found out that acting and hosting are two completely different things. This was a notable difficult transition for Chase, someone who is already notoriously hard to work with, and it seemed like his own ego made it hard for him to work within the parameters of the format. The show was panned by critics immediately, with one critic from the Entertainment Weekly saying, "In search of a decent cheap laugh, the Chevy Chase show had managed only to give vulgarity a bad name." And after just 6 weeks, Fox canceled the show, and good. I hope Chevy Chase felt real
Not 6 weeks. Jesus. It didn't even last that long.
bad about that. And I don't know if this is a real story. This is secondhand, because it's a story about Chevy Chase that a celebrity told that my dad heard and then he told me. So I don't know if this is true, but apparently he was doing the monologue and someone said that Chevy Chase cannot improvise. He cannot do it. He needs cue cards. And on the cue card, it said something like, "Hey, everybody, how we doing?" And they just said, like, just say it. And, like, he got up there and they put the card down. And he's like, line. Like, he couldn't just say, like, "How's everybody doing tonight?" He needed a cue card. That's how worthless Chevy Chase is, and that all might be a lie. But whatever, I'm spreading this information about Chevy Chase. What is he gonna do? But in a weird coincidence, before Chase's failed talk show, he
God, look at the gap. I don't want to make fun of him, but Jesus, look at that gap.
was the first guest on a different doomed late night program, the Pat Sajak Show. You guys like Pat Sajak? Pat Sajak hosted Wheel of Fortune for 41 years. In 1989, he was tapped by CBS to try and break into the late night game, but never really found his footing. Within a year, it was cut down from 90 minutes to 60 minutes, and eventually the network was inviting guests to host, essentially holding auditions to take Sajak's job. Weirdly, one of these guest hosts was political provocateur Rush Limbaugh, who bravely broke from the format of the show to talk about abortion. That's what I tune into.
Who the fuck is this dude? Maybe it was just before my time.
on a fun late night show to listen to Rush Limbaugh talk about abortion. Is he dead? I hope he's dead. After Limbaugh confronted the crowd, they turned on him, heckling him, booing him so loudly that the producers eventually forced the audience to leave the studio so that they could actually finish the show. This was the only time that Pat Sajak's show made any type of headlines and helped raise Limbaugh's profile, one that would dominate political discourse for the next few decades, which pretty much exclusively lies. So shout out Pat Sajak, he pretty much made Rush Limbaugh, which is a crazy line of reasoning. But as scandalous as it was at the time, the Rush Limbaugh stunt isn't even the most outrageous moment in late night. Part of the appeal of these talk shows is the fact that they're on late at night. I don't think I had to explain that. Which is crack the door open for boundary-pushing guest appearances. However, even late-night show hosts have their limit, which some guests have completely trampled over. Which is why we're introducing another bit inside of a bit. TV show. Late-night meltdown countdown. First up, we have Bobcat Goldthwait's 1994 appearance on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Do you guys know who Bobcat Goldthwait is? He did the voice of the little f***ed-up thing in Hercules, and he also was in Police Academy. Goldthwait was already a polarizing comedian before he appeared on Leno, with edgy, often political humor that was delivered in an ear-gratingly scratchy voice. But when he appeared on the talk show, he decided to literally add...
I don't think edgy humor is bad, to be honest, because I like edgy humor, like American Dad, Family Guy. More of American Dad, I never really got into Family Guy. I don't think edgy humor is bad, but it depends how far you go with the edgy humor.
Add fuel to the fire and set his chair ablaze. This was a...
Yeah, now, like, that kind of shit, if someone came into my house and just decided to light my couch on fire, dude, I would fucking throw that dude out the fucking window. You kidding me?
Weirdly intentional act, because Bobcat said that he was just trying to get Jay Leno more ratings, because I guess they were homies, so he set a chair on fire. Which, to be fair, that seems like it would work. He doused the chair he was sitting on with gasoline, lit it on fire, and then sprayed even more gasoline on it. It was honestly pretty amazing to see how cool Jay Leno played the whole situation. He calmly put out the flames with the water in his mug, and then played up the joke by demanding Goldthwait sit in the mess he made. But the city of Burbank...
He probably played it cool, but he wanted to beat his fucking ass.
California, not so chill about Goldthwait's little fire expedition. Goldthwait was taken to court where he pleaded no contest to the charge of recklessly causing a fire and was ordered to pay a $3,888 fine, $698 of those dollars going directly to NBC for the chair. No chair should ever cost that much, especially not in whatever year this was money. 1994? No chair should cost that much. As part of his punishment as well, Goldthwait was also forced to take fire service announcements. Moving a little further.
Picked a great main, but your voice doesn't quite match it?
We have a fix.
Voice mod gives you over 100...
Further back in time, in 1985, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T were making the rounds on television.
Oh, yes, I have seen this video. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna let it play
promote
out.
the first WrestleMania. They hosted SNL and even wound up on a lesser-known late-night cable show called Hot Properties, hosted by Richard Belzer. At the time, Belzer was a comedian, though you might recognize him better for his character John Munch on Law & Order SVU. Now, I'm not a big Law & Order fan, and I don't know anything about this guy, but his name in the show is John Munch. Last name Munch? Incredible. Love it. John Munch in the show about sexual crimes. God damn. But during Belzer's interview with Mr. T, he continually belittled him for associating himself with professional wrestling. Then Hulk Hogan comes out, and Belzer doubles down and keeps poking fun at the Hulkamaniac. Or is that what we are? Whatever, he was making fun of Hulk Hogan. So, when he finally asked Hogan to show him a wrestling move, the Hulkster was more than happy to oblige. He put Belzer in a chokehold, and not like a fake wrestling chokehold, a real-ass chokehold. Hogan calmly applied the move with the audience watching as Belzer's arms went limp to his sides. Then Hogan just dropped his ass on the studio floor, clopped him, and he just was passed out for a few seconds on the ground. When he got up, he managed to throw to a commercial while bleeding from the back of his head. Belzer left the show and received 8 stitches in the back of his cranium. He sued Hogan for $5 million and later settled out of court for a clean $400.
You can't even blame him though. I mean, if that happened to me, I know I would sue him. You kidding me?
Then
Even the fact that he's a professional wrestler and he knows like how to do fake chokeholds and stuff, but you do that like a real one? Nah.
Belzer took that money and used it for a down payment on a house in France. So,
Dude, that's funny.
I don't know. For somebody who had a show that no one remembers, that's a pretty good payout. But of all the B-team late-night talk show hosts, Dick Cavett might be one of the most important. His show, which ran in one capacity or another for 27 years, took on a more freewheeling conversational tone. He welcomed tons of comedians, but also gave platform for thoughtful discussions with politicians, or authors, and artists. Not really my bag, I just want to see the comedians. But it's why in 1971, he found himself sitting across from J.I. Rodale, an early advocate of organic agriculture who the New York Times called the guru of the organic food cult. Now, this guy was a pretty wild figure. Yes, he was pro-organic food, but he was also anti-sex and pro-segregation. What year was this? 1971. Okay, makes sense. Rodale was 72 years old, but during his
God, how can people watch TV shows like this, dude? Nope, that hurts my eyes just looking at it.
interview, he told Cavett that he had never felt better and that he was going to live until he was 100 years old. Cavett invited his next guest on the stage and Rodale stayed on the set, which was the custom in the early days of talk shows. But during the interview, Rodale let out a weird snoring sound, slumped down in his chair, and died. He just said he was going to live to 100. The audience initially laughed, thinking it was a bit, but in actuality, Rodale had a heart attack. Cavett...
Dude, I mean, I don't want to laugh because he died, but dude, he died right after he said he was going to live to 100. Dude, that sounds like a skit. That honestly does. Like someone says, I'm going to live into 100, and then 2 minutes later they just pass away. Dude, that's insane.
soon realized something wasn't right and asked the audience if there was a doctor in the house, and 2 medical interns rushed on stage and tried to resuscitate Rodale, but it was too late. Fortunately, the show was taped and not live, so the network was able to pull the tape before it was aired. However, there's a group of people who swear that they watched the death on television. This deadly episode of Dick Cavett Show is a huge part of Baby Boomer's Mandela effect. But anyway, after Johnny Carson announced his retirement in 1991, David Letterman, already the host of NBC's Late Night, was considered the frontrunner to take over The Tonight Show. Instead, the job went to Jay Leno. Now, I could make a whole video on the Late Night Wars, but
Jay Leno, dude. Isn't that the dude with like the massive chin?
if you want to watch a video on that, read the book, The Late Night Wars, or there's so many people who are going to do it better than me. So I'm going to gloss over a lot of it, but it is a very interesting part of late night history. So I'm going to give you the abridged version of everything that's about to happen. Letterman was obviously pretty pissed about the Jay Leno thing, and instead of continuing to host on NBC in his later time slot, he jumped over to CBS and helped launch The Late Show. The ensuing years, as I mentioned, were known as The Late Night Wars, the battle between Leno and Letterman for ratings and guests. To many critics and most comedians, David Letterman, and me, just want to get that out there, David Letterman was the clear winner in the Late Night Wars. His show brought absurdist humor and a devilish edge to the format, but more often than not, Leno prevailed as a man of the people. And his hacky jokes about O.J. Simpson, Bill
that is the dude with the massive chin.
And Pam Anderson won the ratings battle. He was a sort of predictable comfort food for most late night audiences. But like, if you knew what was actually funny, you'd be watching David Letterman. Because before David Letterman, when you watched, Johnny Carson, he'd get a celebrity and he'd be like, so what's it like living in Hollywood? And they'd be like, it's great, I'm so perfect, and everyone would laugh. David Letterman had people on and he was just like, well, have you ever seen a penis? They'd be like, what are you talking about? He'd be like, I'm gonna go jump into this wall made of Velcro, I'll let you know. David Letterman was really a man of the people because he knew what was actually funny. Jay Leno. But
Amazon is overcharging you, but I can show you how to avoid it. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
But despite the hype, the reality was that late night was already on its way out. The fact of the matter is, ratings were never really the same after Johnny Carson. And it's not just because of the host. Like I said, David Letterman's the man. He did, like, have sex with an intern. That was weird. We all kind of let him do it, though.
What Hollywood star doesn't do that?
Different time. But it wasn't just because of the host. The media landscape was already changing, with cable offering way more to watch when you just stay up late. Not only did you have shows like
I don't think, if it was consensual, I don't think it was bad.
Arsenio Hall, but there were also specialized channels like ESPN and MTV offering viewers new, highly curated options for the first time. The result was a steady decline in ratings from the 90s that led to an outright plummet in the social media age. To try and stay relevant in the changing media landscape, talk shows have pivoted to content that's easily reposted on social media. And one of the worst offenders in this department of just literally making short-form content on a big stage in New York is Jimmy Fallon. It's hard to deny that his
I don't like Jimmy Fallon because he's fucking fake. You could say my mom died yesterday and he'll stop fucking laughing. I don't like that dude because he's just not funny. He laughs at everything. You could say my mom died. He laughs at that. You could say I saw two women kissing in the bathroom. He laughs at that. He's fake. He's like a laugh track.
Golden Retriever energy works well with mainstream audiences. But like, I don't know, maybe because I'm from New England, but we have a long-standing relationship with phony people. Like, I can sniff out when someone's being disingenuous. Jesus Christ, if that's not Jimmy Fallon in a bag. His pandering, celebrity-friendly bits and clippable content that desperately wants to go viral has made his show feel less like a late-night show and more like a bunch of social media clips interrupted by a talk show. But I mean, there is a part of me that's an old man yelling at a cloud right now because late-night shows have always evolved into a new format. Why did I say always like that? Johnny Carson had that dumb bit where he was Karnak the Magnificent, a mystic who would psychically answer questions in an envelope, and Conan O'Brien had the masturbating bear. I don't got...
What? The masturbating bear? What the fuck?
To explain that to you, but Fallon is more like an over-enthusiastic party host with games like Pictionary. And then there's Lip Sync Battle, which is some unholy nightmare of karaoke night TikTok trend performed by the Illuminati. Of course, Fallon will just skip the whole step and invite TikTok dancers on his show too. And if all of this doesn't signal the end of late night, I don't know what would, really, honestly. A medium that used to dictate pop culture, now so desperate to remain relevant that it tries to imitate the very thing that destroyed it. And what would that make you, Jimmy? What does that make you? A pile of ashes with a nice little haircut and a microphone. That's what you are, Jimmy. That's what you are, Jimmy. I don't know, that seems a little harsh. Maybe I'll be on Jimmy Fallon one day. I mean, he'll let someone like me on, for sure. A dumb internet guy. I love you, Jimmy Fallon. Ignore all of that. That would be really big for my career. But someone I won't backpedal away from is James Corden. Remember when he had a show?
Yeah, this is the dude, the insufferable asshole.
That guy.
Dude, I used to love him, especially those carpool karaoke things, just to realize it was fucking fake. Like there was like a trailer pulling it. Dude, I was so, like, I'm not gonna even lie. I liked him because like he got Justin Bieber and all these celebrities on there, like, you know, One Direction, all them, but
there's always been something about him that set off my spidey senses. It's an overly nice thing, like, hey, you can be affable, but there is a darkness to the way James Corden did it, and it was exposed. We all saw it, but I saw it first. He doesn't have a show anymore, thankfully. I think he went back to terrorizing the British, but everything about his show represented the race for the
not terrorizing the British.
Lowest common denominator that late night has become. Something that suggests he's mimicking social behaviors without actually believing in them. I'm sure some nights with some guests, the only way to get through the interview is by total disassociation. However,
like, I think Jimmy Fallon, yeah, I mean, he laughs at everything and shit, but it's not like he's really doing anything wrong. Like, he's not like fucking, you know, beating his fucking wife or shit like that.
Faking it that hard, the James Corden hard faking it, to the point where your whole life vibes like some off-Broadway show about radical positivity through song. Well, that leads me...
Didn't he... Sorry for pausing. Didn't he... Wasn't he in that movie Cats, where it was like fucking... It was a creepy-ass movie where like humans would dress up as cats? It was just fucking creepy.
Believe that you know where some bodies are buried in the woods. It just does. You're creepy to me. Okay, I'm ranting here though, so let me just pull it back in. Carpool karaoke can suck my fat d. I don't need to explain this, right? Like, this took over the world 6 years ago.
Yeah, I used to
James
like that.
Corden and someone famous sing popular songs while driving around in a car, and we're forced to watch it. I actually think this bit would have been more realistic if it was filmed from the perspective of someone in his trunk, because that's where James Corden keeps people. Sorry, I keep going off the rails with James Corden. And then there was the spiritual sequel, the Carpool Karaoke, Crosswalk the Musical. This was when
What the fuck?
Corden had like his guests and a bunch of dancers just do some shit during a crosswalk when the red light was there. And it was obviously just trying to milk everything that they got out of Carpool Karaoke, and it's just abysmal. But the crazy thing is, no matter how many pandering moments James Corden had, people still didn't like him. Because there were, one, he sucked as just the show. Two, there was a lot of background talk about him being absolutely a huge douchebag in restaurants.
Yeah. This is the one where like he was like cussing out a fast food local.
Being an all-around fake motherfucker, so his show ended in 2023. But at that point, the damage had been done for all of late night, and by some estimates, 2023 was the year talk shows officially became unprofitable. But I wonder if it had anything with huge egos asking for unbelievable budgets.
Yeah, and also, dude, what is up with every late night host always just being evil? Like James Corden, Ellen DeGeneres, like what is up with every single one always just going fucking insane?
It's do 60-second musicals on crosswalks. You. Well, that's gonna do it for our show tonight. Glad I got to sneak in a little bit of a late night show cosplay before we wrap this whole thing up in terms of both this episode and all of late night TV. Some of you are gonna get really mad at me because I didn't mention Conan O'Brien, but I didn't mention Conan O'Brien because
I honestly do like Conan O'Brien. I think he's the only good late night host. He's actually one of my favorites.
I'm sure everyone who watches my show loves Conan O'Brien. And you probably know everything. If you love Conan O'Brien, you know everything about him. So
yeah, like he's actually funny. He's not just like doing it for money. Like didn't him and Jay Leno get into a beef one time and they were trying to like fight? Not really fight. It was more like Jay Leno didn't want to hand over his show to Conan O'Brien because his time was up, and that's kind of like how it all started.
I just skipped that step. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to talk about Conan. Or if I missed anyone that you really liked in late night history. Let me know about it in the comments down below. I did gloss over Arsenio Hall, and he was very important. New videos every Saturday and sometimes Wednesday. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Actually do all those things. I think on mobile you can like ring a bell or hit like, I don't know, you can hit a button. I think you like light, I don't know. If you're on mobile, look for a button and press it. Also, I'm pushing 2 million subs at this point. So when I hit it, I'm gonna do something fun. The top like comment, no, I'm not gonna do that because you guys will say like suck a bird or something. Whatever. Let me know in the comments down below what you would want me to do if I hit 2 million subscribers. I feel like we could do something fun with that. I'm getting real close. And shout out to the extra Tugglets, the Tuggers, the real stars of the show.
Alright. That was Big Tugg who killed late night. If you enjoyed the video, like I said in the beginning, smash that like button. Smash that like button and subscribe button. Push the bell. Follow me on my Instagram and Facebook, and stay blessed.